Welcome to the Exposer. So today we'll be exposing the pastors who were recently arrested and questioned in regards to fraudulent activities. We will actually show you guys the evidence. We will break down what occurred and what's going on right now with the investigation. So Spac have pastors who own a company called SR Capital Sigma Limited. And they have various pastors who use that company to gain investments from many people. So a young man was connected with one of the pastors in regarding to an investment to SR Capital Sigma Limited. And the connection happened through Alexander Kenlock, allegedly. And the main pastor behind the whole investment was Henry, known as Pastor Henry at Spac Nation. So as you can see right now, this is the agreement where it says it was made on the 25th day of May 2018 between the following parties: SR Capital Sigma Limited. And here's the address. And there's the email address where it says crypto@srcapitalsigma.com. The client has invested funds to the AR for the amount of £20,000 to enter an investment program for a period of 12 months, starting on Friday 25th May 2018. The end of the contract term will be Friday 24th May 2019. Primary investment size, £20,000. And then there it shows you the percentages. And as you can see, the percentage is quite high depending on the amount of money you invest in the company. On the next page, it says, all figures above relate to profit. Investment is subject to risk and uncertainty in response to market forces. Thus, the client must be advised that investment can result in high yields or also in devaluations. In the event the client portfolio has fallen to 80% of the original investment, the AR will contact them to make them aware, and it will be down to the client's discretion to withdraw the available funds remaining or to continue for the duration of the investment period. By executing this agreement, the client hereby warrants, confirms, and acknowledges that he has obtained independent legal and professional advice related to this agreement. Client must also be that they're investing the funds at their own risk. So here's the proof of the signature, the company, and you can see it was authorized by Mr. Henry and also the client. So just to make you guys understand perfectly, so there's a guy who invested £20,000 into a company which was supposed to give him a profit, and he signed a deal which was meant to last over 12 months. So now we're going to get into after the signature, after everything was finalized and the Spac pastors managed to get the 20k investment. Now we're going to break down what happened after that. So after the investment, the client is worried, doesn't know if his money's actually being put into this business. So Henry responds to him by telling him, but honestly, I've looked at the crypto account and he has dropped by 75%. This isn't just yours, it's across the board as the price of crypto as a whole fell drastically. However, I don't make my investors a loss. We have backups in place to cover things like this. Taking money out of investments is allowed and in the contract, but that money being taken out is profits. In this case, your account isn't in profitable state right now. I think it would be a good idea to speak to Pastor Alex and see if he can send you money to help you out in the short term. I will see what I can do from other areas, but there is no guarantee on this. So you can see how these pastors are really smart when it comes to deceiving people. And not long after the guy has invested his money, he's telling him now that the crypto account has dropped by almost 80%. But if you can remember, it said in the contract, in the events the client's portfolio has fallen to 80% of the original investment, the AR will contact them to make them aware, and it will be down to the client's discretion to withdraw the available funds remaining. So there already is a breach of contract because he has reached out to tell him that it's dropped to 75%, but he's saying that he can't withdraw the remaining of his funds because his funds haven't made a profit. So that's the first breach of the contract. So the client is worried and he wants to know who's responsible. He said, if my money was even put into an investment, why has the clear breach of contract never been addressed when I asked? I was never notified of a drop below the initial 20k, so who is responsible for it? If it's not you, that's what I need to see and know. Then he also forwarded like a tweet that Henry put out where he says, nah, this made me genuinely laugh. Be responsible with the owing to avoid bailiff matter. Oh, so Henry has breached the contract already, but he has the audacity to go on Twitter to try and make this joke. And the client tells him, I want to see the transaction of 20k to SR Capital from your bank, according to fund manager Alex at the time of the investment. He had no clue of any 20k investment, and according to Onye, SR Capital director, he has no clue and says they do not do crypto investing. through this so-called company. And he's also said, I've purposely left it in a week to see if anyone can shed light on this. And yeah, you or no one feels it necessary to contact me. But I can see you tweeting all this bullshit, which is directly contradictory to your actions in this case. Don't add up. Fair enough, if it was you in contact saying, shit's not gone to plan, I ain't got no money around me, but I can drop you 5k a month and it's all paid. But I ain't hearing nothing, see no actions or solutions. So, as you can see, the client is directly asking me questions because the client has now spoken to other Spac pastors who are part of this company. So Alex, who's meant to deal with the finance, and Onye, who's meant to be some sort of director, or he has a role in the company, who's saying that he doesn't recall 20k being invested in this company, and he says that they don't do like this sort of investment in their company. So now there's a confusion. So the client is now realizing that this company is fake, because how is it that online you're all attached to this company, and Henry, who's one of the pastors at Spac, is saying that the money you've invested hasn't made no profit, and basically we can't give you anything back. But the client is saying Henry is talking so much rubbish, and instead of trying to find a solution by basically telling the client, you know what, I'll pay you back 5k every month until this thing is solved, so at least you can get your money back, Henry isn't even trying to sort out the situation like this. What he's doing is he's just ignoring the client, and that's because he has nothing to say. Because he knows the client has done some research and has contacted other pastors. So now Henry does not know how to react. So he writes again to Henry saying, I can't understand how I can't get through to you with such a big amount of money owed. I'm baffled. What's going on? Or is this just the normal way you people at Spac Nation handle your business? You said I'd have 5k weeks ago. I'm just tired of things being said and no action. Can you please just contact me and send me my money? Henry, what's happening? Seriously. I can see you online. You are seeing me messaging you. And a lot of question marks, reply question mark, a response question mark, another question mark. He's saying you're online. I'm trying to do my all to contact you. So after a while, Henry promised to give him 5k from now and then. And Henry hasn't kept his promise. And he's bombarding Henry with messages, trying to find out what is going on. And Henry continues to read his messages without responding. So the client is really, really baffled by what's really going on. And he tells him, is this what goes on at Spac Nation? Because you guys need to remember, he's not a Spac Nation member. He's not a Spac member. He never went to Spac Nation. This is a guy who was just told about a business opportunity and done a bit of research and decided to invest his money. And this is how these Spac pastors are treating him. So Henry, of course, as you can see, is reading all of his messages and just ignoring him. So Henry finally decides to respond. He says, good afternoon, sir. I'm well, thanks. Family is good too. Sorry for the delay in getting back to you. I was ill last week, started to feel much better yesterday. Regarding investment, the 5-week period is definitely up. I'm traveling to France for a Bitcoin deal, so I'm a bit preoccupied with that currently. If you need cash ASAP, I can transfer you some like 1k until I get this deal done. Let me know, sir. But he said when he gets back. And then the client responds, big man, are you unable to transfer from abroad on online banking? Then Henry responds, nah, it's not that. It's money ain't been coming in like that. I expected because I'm away. Plus, I'm holding on to what I got because my trip might be extended. It was found out that Henry was actually never out of the country. So that was a lie. Him telling him that he was abroad dealing with some business. So Henry also mentions the investment was never with me personally. It was with SR Capital, who I was raising money for, specifically for the cryptocurrency division. And he said too, I have not made £1 profit from you and your 20k investment. The legal entity is responsible for the investment is SR Capital and not me personally, as per the agreement. Not a penny of your investment came to me personally in terms of commissions or bonus or anything financial reward whatsoever. So this is where Henry makes another crucial mistake. Why did you agree to pay the guy 5k, I don't know, on a monthly basis until he gets his money back? And also, why did you propose to even give him 1k at one point if you feel like you had nothing to do with it and that's the company? This is what these Spac pastors are. They're very, very dodgy when it comes to dealings. And earlier, you saw the text where the client told him he'd spoken to Alex and Onye, who are meant to be part of the company, and they don't know anything about 20k investment in the company. So who is lying when it comes to this whole situation? Of course, the guy who's mainly responsible is Henry, because that's with who he's had this direct contact with. And now Henry is saying this. This is because the client is almost putting a lot of pressure on him. And Henry has realized that the client is not willing to let the matter go. So now he's trying to talk in legal terms by saying that he has nothing to do with it and it's the company. But I've also heard a voice note where Henry actually takes full responsibility for what has gone on. And we'll talk about that later on. So the client messages Alexander Kenlock and asks him, does SR have a crypto department? Henry said they do, but Anya said they don't invest in crypto. Just trying to work it out. And Alex responds, we don't have a crypto department. We never have. We only do advisory and we don't have a trading desk. We get projects and consult on them and take a consultancy fee. We've never done business with Henry. I know him from church. Okay, cool. Well, the client responds, okay, cool. So if I need to get in touch with anyone from SR, I have to contact you. Then Alex responded, there was 3 people at SR, myself, Anya, and another person called Eugene. So here you are now, Alexander Kenlock actually saying that Henry is not part of SR, the company. He's denying that Henry is even part of this company. And he actually named the 3 people responsible at SR, and he said this himself, Anya, and another person called Eugene. And he even mentions he's never done business with Henry, and he only knows him from church. Well, let me tell everyone that Henry is one of the senior pastors at Spac Nation. Alex Kenlock is one of the senior pastors at Spac Nation. And Anya is also one of the main pastors at Spac Nation. So Alex is trying to act like Henry is just a guy that goes to Spac. And that's only because the client isn't a Spac member. So at that particular moment, Alex probably felt like this guy does not really know about the pastor situations at Spac. So if I explain to him that Henry has nothing to do with this company, then he might just disappear. But what he doesn't understand is that incriminates Henry even more. Incriminates him a lot more, because now it looks like Henry has done fraud, because his fellow pastors are saying they do not know anything about a 20k investment and they are responsible for that company. So things are not adding up right now. So the client responds, that's what Henry's saying, so I just want you to know what page I'm on, why I'm scratching my head. So Alex again says, Anya did not know nothing about that deal until we called you that day. And the client responds, I got 20k, I'm trying to chase, and no one seems to know anything. And then Alex responds, you took the investments with Henry. This is not my business at all. We don't have any agents that raise money for us. And then obviously the client says he's not blaming Alex. And Alex is saying, this right here is mad. This has to be one of the most unprofessional organizations ever, because Alex, Henry, Anya all know each other. They all go to the same place. They're all senior pastors at Spac Nation. And then here it looks like Henry is directing it to Alex, if you saw the earlier messages. And Alex is now redirecting it back to Henry. So they're both almost accusing each other of being involved in that deal. And that just shows how unprofessional it is and what a scam this organization runs. So Henry tried to call the client, and the client asked him, did you ring me earlier? And Henry said, yes, he did. Then the client went to him, what for? About getting my money ASAP? ? Then he says, check my bank account. I don't see 20k or more. And he's also mentioned, I see my case was the only one mentioned in Spac's reply about all you lot's frauds. Guess it's because Toby and if you're the senior fraudster pastors are on the SR Capital business. Only one not mentioned. And then Henry says, if you picked up my call, you would know why I was calling. And then he mentioned, the client responds, if I picked up your call, I hear more bullshit. Don't come to me with no arrogance or attitude. All you need to focus on is getting my money. You ain't aware of the size of the issue coming your way, so fix my shit before it's too late. Then Henry responds, what reply are you talking about? Then he asks him again, why did you call? You got my money or not? And then the client continued writing, the delusion is next level. Focus on getting my money. And trust me, if I wanted to threaten you, I'll turn up at Nathan's. I'm not in your world. Fix your problems. Fix the problems. Before it becomes too much for you. Before it becomes too much for you. Still waiting to hear why you called me. And then still no response from Henry. And he also mentioned, email me the documents and transactions that you have. So you can see the pressure is on Henry. And Henry no longer knows how to respond. And even a simple question of, can you just show the documentation and the transaction of the 20k to see where it went? Henry does not want to respond to that. Simple question. And this is just a disarray. This is unbelievably crazy that a man can take 20k from another man without any sort of remorse, without even attempting to pay the guy's money back, despite the guy investigating and finding out that his money has not been investigated. despite the guy having been in contact with fellow SPAC pastors, they don't seem to find a solution to say, you know what, let's try and get the guy's money back so that he can leave us alone. Instead, they're leaving Henry to deal with it. And you know why? Because Henry's taken the 20k and has given it to Pastor Toby. That's what has gone on, and had a small amount left to himself, and which he probably has to use to pay off his debts, because this is not the only person he owes money to. But let's continue. In another message, Henry mentions, "Good morning, we need to talk, but I'm in meetings. I have some updates for you. In summary, I'm going to Uganda before the end of the month, currently finalizing documents, etc. of the buyers. Once completed, within the next week or two, I will book my flight. Buyers are here in the UK. First shipment of gold, I'm expecting 240k profit. Let's speak later." So that's another one of his lies. And this guy just continues to lie so that he can make up excuses after excuses. This guy has not travelled since he's been at Spac Nation. So we know that was another lie. So here we have the client. Basically, he's been in contact with Henry's ex-wife, and this is what she had to say about him. "Hey hon, look, I'm so sorry and embarrassed. I really had no idea about that part of Henry's life, and it's all coming to light now. I left Henry finally after years of a terrible marriage 2 years ago. I don't have an address for him, but I know someone who could maybe contact that might be able to help, as they are suing him too. His name is Byron Cole, and he used to be Henry's good friend. I'm sure he would help you and give you the info he has. I will send you his Insta account and give him a message. I'm so sorry, I can't help more." So this is Henry's wife actually confirming how toxic this man was, and a confirmation that he's actually being sued by someone else. And I'm sure there's many more people who are trying to sue him right now. And it seems to be his daily job, and he got himself in a hole where he has to carry on doing these things. One of the reasons, to make sure he's giving enough seed to Toby, because he's one of the senior pastors at Spac, so he needs to make sure that his line makes the amount raised to him, and he also needs to pay back some people he owes money to. But at this point, he owes so much people money, all he can do is hide and make up stories every single time to try and give himself a bit more time, and this is what Henry's been doing. So this is a man who's hiding, a man who's really, really, really scared, but unfortunately will continue to try and scam people, because that's the only way he can make money. So the client now contacts Toby Adebayega, saying, "I have 35,000 owed to me by Henry, who is a titled pastor at Spac Nation. It's been 3 months since the contract ended, and Henry is avoiding me, so I'm trying to reach out to the right people who can provide a solution to this problem. For any man to owe another man money, whether it's £35 or 35,000, basic contact and communication should be a minimum. My lawyers have read over the contract and have confirmed the company the investment apparently went through isn't FCA approved, and there are grounds to sue for breach of contract, fraud, etc. This also affects Alex, Onye, who are on the company's house as fund managers. But I have no recollection of any investment. I'm coming from a righteous place with a righteous intention, and energy doesn't lie. It's clear to my soul that there are many things not right with this situation, which Henry isn't prepared to speak on when I ask certain questions. Could you contact Henry and tell him not to run from me, but face this issue and resolve via communication? His actions do not reflect the man of God." Toby also read a message and no reply. And this is exactly why this whole thing looked like a scam. No one in Spac was trying to resolve the situation, and even the main pastor decided to keep quiet. So the client goes to contact Dami Polygon, and he tells him, "Why are you ignoring my calls? I want to speak to you about something." Then sends the company address, and he says, "About this, to be specific, I saw you on TV saying you deal with Spac pastors who do wrong, and heard you on the radio saying the same. I'm trying to address that, and you're blanking me. So I'm telling you, no, I have evidence of fraud by Henry. You want to reply and start communicating with me, or you got to wait for orders from your daddy Toby to reply? You want to communicate yet, bro? I'm bringing something to your attention. Toby and Anya are on the files for SR Capital, who we know have done fraud." So this is him also contacting another SPAC leader, and again, you can see he's read all of his messages and no response. And if you guys can recall, Dami was on the BBC talking on behalf of Spac Nation to say that if any of these leaders have done anything wrong, he will gladly sit down and try and solve the problem. But you've seen this guy go through all the major procedures. He's tried to do it amicably. He's messaged the man directly, Henry, who we saw ignored his texts and always made up an excuse. We saw him contact the other two guys, SPAC pastors, whose names are on the company records, and both denied that the 20k was actually invested. And one of them, even Alexander Kenlock specifically, said that him and Henry are just see each other at church. So he tried to make it look like he has no friendship with Henry, so it's none of his business. Anya as well denied having seen this 20k investment. So again, this is 3 Spac pastors who are acting like they don't know what's going on. And anyone that's been at Spac Nation knows that once a deal is done, the main man, Toby Adebayega, is fully aware of what has gone on. So they know what they've done with that money. But you have 3 pastors who cannot even reach an agreement to where that 20k investment that this client put in has gone to. So the client has directly gone to Toby Adebayega, the lead pastor of Spac Nation, and he failed to respond. He's contacted another Spac leader, Dami, and Dami also reads his messages and fails to respond. Now we have many more evidence. We're talking about bank statements, more voice notes, so many more, but because of the investigation, we won't be able to publish it here right now. But you guys can see there's enough evidence to incriminate all 3 of them connected to it. There's text messages, there's everything possible. The client also has the contract. He's got proof that he did do the contract with Henry, but at the same time he has proof that Alex and Anya are part of that company, so they should be aware of where the money went. So it's clear daylight fraud, daylight robbery in front of everyone to see. This is the reason actually that Alex Kenlock was allegedly arrested, and this is the reason why Henry was wanted by the police for questioning in regards to this fraudulent activities. And there's a serious investigation going on behind. Serious. So within the next month or so, these guys could possibly find themselves going to jail. It's not looking good. It's really not looking good for them. And like we mentioned, there's many more evidence. We're talking about voice notes which incriminates them, where they're obviously confirming that there's been this 20k investment, but then there's just a confusion of where that money went, and that can only be fraud. So we wanted you guys to see this is what goes on at Spac Nation. So anyone who wants to do business with these guys, do not even attempt to do it. These guys will take your money, and the money will be sent to unknown bank accounts, and they will tell you that the company has collapsed and that the money hasn't made any sort of profit, therefore we can't do anything about it. And someone who thinks, who's read the contract and seen the company online will feel like this is legitimate, but we are telling you it is not. These are not real companies. These are companies who are open online, but they don't function like real companies. They don't actually go according to the law. They don't even follow their own rules. They try to make it up on the spot. So if you're not really aware, you might be fooled and you might get conned. So do not fall for any sort of business plan that Spac pastors propose to you, whether it will be trading, whether it will be anything, investment. Do not do it. Do not do it. And this is one of many cases. There's many people behind the scene who are bringing the evidence to the economic crime unit. So Spac pastors are really under pressure. And in the next month or so, there will be court cases and a lot of more things going on that you guys will be fully made aware of. And it's not looking good for them. If you guys can see also online, all these pastors who are bragging and driving these big cars and wearing these expensive watches, you'll realize most of them do not have jobs. They do not have jobs. So you question yourself, where does their income come from? And this is how they make their income. They go around London and go after people who they feel could potentially have some sort of money, and then will come to them with a speech to tell them about investment, companies, businesses. So naturally, you see a guy in a very expensive car who's well-dressed with an expensive watch. So it's easy to believe them. It's really easy. And it's not like when they come to you, they tell you they're from Spac Nation. They don't tell you these things. It's later on you discover that they're part of Spac. They're part of Spac. And you can see this is a scheme that goes on. This goes on, and there's nobody to contact as Spac once you've been scammed, because these guys will pretend they don't know about it. So for anyone who's approached by anyone from Spac talking about business, do not waste your time. You will get scammed. This is their jobs. This is their jobs. They will get you to invest into fake companies, and then you won't make anything back. And when it gets bad, they may start to pay you back on a month-to-month basis and tell you that the company has dissolved. But they're always relying on somebody else's money to pay off some of their debts. This is how they live their life. And this is not a life. This is life of a broke. They call people broke, but these guys are really the broke people. Because all the things they have is not theirs. They're consistently taking money from other people and using that money to give as seed and to sustain that lifestyle that they live. But things are looking very, very bad for Henry, Alex, and Onye, as they are tied down to one of these fake companies. And you've seen a guy who's persisted and hasn't given up, and the rewards are coming his way. And as I said, there will be a court case. There will be a lot more things going on behind the scenes. There's been a lot that has gone on, and we just wanted you guys to see what really happened with the raids and why pastors were arrested. This is part of it.